Councillor Russell Perrin. Recently, you had a success with an amendment in the council budget here in Harlow to do with education, or STEM education. So can you just clarify what STEM and why did you consider it a success?
Well, first of all, STEM it stands for Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics. So that's any education surrounding that as part of the government agenda to try and improve the amount of scientists and engineers that we have working in this area. Why I think is a victory is because we've never had an opposition amendment get unanimous support in the council, and we've never had a budget amendment with unanimous support in the council. So it just underlies the importance of the fund that we've been able to set up, and that fund will be used to pay for STEM activities for children in Harlow from primary, secondary and Harlow going to college. So this is a really big thing. Because it's never happened before.
And this is really plugging the gap with the loss of Science Alive?
Yeah, Science Alive are going. Public Health England are coming in a couple of years' time. So I felt there was a need to ensure that we don't lose the momentum that we've got with science and technology and engineering, mathematics education in the town. Particularly, it links in with all of the biomed tech stuff that we do in the town and the regeneration work over at Child Care Science Park, which I'm pleased to say was when we was in administration, that was my job, was to lead on us getting enterprise owned status. And so I see it all sort of tying in as one thing. So yeah, it's a big achievement, and I'm really pleased that all councillors were able to come together and see the importance of the amendment I put forward.
And how do you envisage the technicality of the money being spent? Are these for lessons that will be taught somewhere, or how is it going to work?
Well, the fact that I've got the fund in itself is one thing. Now, we're not in administration, so now it's over to Labour administration to administer those funds in the appropriate way. But the way we see it is it's widening participation and making awareness of those careers and those options available to people. So it's about getting children engaged and excited. So there's a company that the council are looking at the moment which will come and do pop-up science events where families and children come along, or schools can buy into, and so they can take part in interactive scientific activities really. Now I've proposed possibly using one of the town libraries to sort of make the space more viable, but there are loads of community spaces around Harlow where it would suit.
With your role in the opposition as a Conservative councillor, you work really hard with your budget and your proposals and amendments. Do you get frustrated that it sometimes can be seen as what some people call a Sisyphean task?
Yeah, I do, and I joked on the night. I said it's one of the most futile things I'm likely to do because it limited chance of success. You spend months of study on the council papers, working with council officers to try and put forward your alternative vision for it only to be voted down. That said, there was two good sides to this as far as I can see. One, sometimes it does work. I got the amendment through for the STEM budget, but also I think it's really important for us to show the people of Harlow our alternative vision, how we think their money should be used and how we can improve the town. And I suppose unlike budgets that are moved at a national level, when you move an alternative budget at a local level, it has to be approved by the Section 151 officer as a legally viable and balanced budget. So people can rest assured that whatever we put forward, it's not made up. It has to work in practice. So there is some credibility in putting that forward.
Okay, and just a couple of more things about the finances. There are still a number of, say, one or two areas where you think the ruling Labour administration is wasting money, or do you think they're putting money in the wrong areas?
Yeah, I think they do waste money, and we saw all through last year with the waste contract, things like that, where they're not got their eye on the ball. I mean, their own portfolio holder for resources says he sees his job more as a watching brief. Well, if you take that attitude, things do go awry, and then it comes down to the officers' priorities, which aren't always the political priorities of the administration. But they could use their money more effectively and in a better way. So we showed that it was possible to not have a council tax rise this year, and it was possible to put money aside to mitigate for any future impact that might have. We showed that for discretionary services like Pets Corner, the museum, the arts, paddling pools, that actually you could fund them sustainably for the next 7 years and still maintain a reserve to secure them should anything happen in the future. We showed that there was money for the STEM reserve, which we've done. We've shown there was money that you could set up a Wi-Fi reserve, because we'd like to see free Wi-Fi for the town shoppers, because most shopping centres offer that now. We showed there was money available to put more money into the museum than it currently is. It's got a problem with its roof at the moment. The administration hasn't shown how they're going to try and protect that. And we've also shown that there are better ways of working. So we said that if people want to, with their council tax statements and their rent bills and statements, they can get them digitally, which will save the council money in the long term. So there are lots of different things that we can do to make the council's money go further and better spent. And often the administration will say, oh, there's government cuts, it's difficult, there's uncertainty in our outlook. But over the past 6 years, they've put £14 million into reserves. That's not something that you can do if money is really tight. And also, all of their papers contradict their own statements, because they all say that the economic outlook has been a lot brighter than they anticipated, so they're getting more money than they were thinking they were. So really, they're a very much a protest party, but in government, local government that is, and the two don't match. They can't have their cake and eat it. They can't complain, but then have lots of money and squirrel it away, but not use it on the things that we need them to use it on. The other thing we said was, there's the nappy waste service, which a number of people used to use a few years ago. So that would be for people, not just for children, but for adults who suffer with incontinence. Now, the Labour administration abolished that a number of years ago as a cost-saving exercise, and we showed at the time they didn't need to do that, because it meant that people's waste would sit in a bin for 2 weeks until it was collected, and in the summer, that's not very nice. And a lot of people find that quite embarrassing, and we've shown again that there is money to reintroduce that service and just bring a little bit of dignity to those people that have to live with that. So we've shown that council tax can be frozen. We've shown that there's money to put reserves in place for Wi-Fi, for STEM learning. We've shown there's money there to introduce services that will help people with their nappy waste. There's a lot that the council could be doing, and if you take a watching brief, then you don't always get the most out of the money we need. And what upset a lot of my councillors on the Conservative side was that whilst raising council tax, they decided to raise members' allowances by 5%. And we said, is that really fair if you're going to impose an increase in council tax? And so they're doing all these things, but they didn't need to do it. So that's our view.
So finally, what can you do now between February 2019 and February 2020 to continue to have some form of influence in the financial administration of Harlow Council?
We can continue to put forward our view and our amendments like we do at Cabinet and at full council. We can continue to talk to good people like you, Michael. You do a sterling job for the town. We've got people out this morning knocking on doorsteps, putting out our message. We can continue to tell people in leaflets and letters in the newspaper, and we can continue to say that it's not all doom and gloom, that there is a better way forward, and that way is our way, the local Conservative Party.
Russell, thank you very much.